Good morning, wrestling fans. Welcome to the Pain Clinic for May 16th, halfway through the month of May. Isn't that crazy? Holidays today, there are just a few. We've got right off the bat Armed Forces Day, Love a Tree Day, National Mimosa Day. Some people, that's every day. Wear Purple for Peace Day, and Sea Monkey Day. If you don't know what a sea monkey is, you got to go buy some old comics from the 70s. They sold sea monkeys on them. They didn't quite look like the little crown princes and princesses that are in the picture, but they were like, I'm sure you guys been through it. Science fair stuff. Birthdays today. The Godfather is 65 and he's on the oh ho train. Mike Kanellis Bennett is 41. I don't know if he's still going by Mike Kanellis but obviously his name is Mike Bennett. It was a joke in WWE that kind of, turned his name into his wife. So kudos to him for, dealing with it. My last name is Jones, and it's my ex's is Ledoux. So I probably sound better as a Ledoux than a Jones, but nevertheless, it's not neither here nor there. Interested in roller derby. Sorry, my mic's a little scratchy. Want to officiate skate? Check out Rock City Roller Derby. They need you. Contact recruitment at rockderbyrecruitment@gmail.com and join Rock City Roller Derby. Today have a game today, 2 games, 4 o'clock at the Dome Minette Center. First game is the A teams versus A for Queen City Roller Derby's coming, and the Lake Furies versus the Rock Stars. And then we have the Sirens versus the B-Sides at 6 o'clock. Derby fun will be had by all, and you might hear me. You just may calling the games. That's tonight. But we're always looking for help, so check us out, rockderbyrecruitment@gmail.com. If you're into the men's team, Flower City Fair, FLOUR, Flower City Fair.com. They just came back from Ohio and had a great 2-game round robin. Came back with a couple wins, so it was good for them, good for the team. But we're here to talk about the world of pro wrestling. I'm going to go through some things today. We're going to talk about Backlash was last weekend, and we'll see what your backlash is on Backlash. AEW, we had a return this past week. John Cena Classic. You may have heard that announcement last weekend. WWE is going back on the road, which, we had talked forever how they weren't doing like live events, and now they've changed their mind. Owen Hart Foundation tournament information popped up this past week, and I will introduce the cast and crew of the show. I am the cash man, Richie Rich. I'm joined by DC Dan Cole from NC. DC, how goes it today? Oh, look at that. DC in all 49er gear, Lucha 49er gear, right? You kind of remind like Penta a little bit,
Well, I got to be ready for football season should tonight not go the Sabres way.
I get you. Sabres. And we're also joined by Rob Sanderson from Parts Unknown Rochester. Rob, how are you doing today, sir?
I think I'm here. Good morning.
Yeah, so we last weekend we had Murph joining us because both you guys, have lives and had to go someplace else and do some other things. But it was a lot of fun. But it's nice to have you back, Rob. How was ESW last weekend in Buffalo?
Fun as always. I was really pleasantly surprised at how big the crowd was, to be honest. Considering the Sabres were playing literally steps away,
Yeah.
on the other side of the river.
You can walk there from
And
there. I've done it before. You can walk to that stadium from Riverworks. So
I actually did walk there once.
yeah,
I forgot about that.
I've
With
also
the
walked to the casino there too.
There was the NHL draft there, and then we walked over to some other wrestling show that was happening there with Eric Bischoff. I don't remember what it was, but yeah, I mean, luckily, well, no, not luckily, but starting to call the show, of course, distracted by watching hockey and following a live wrestling show at the same time, and uh, see the score change and then the score change again. It's like, well, I guess if there was a game to not be able to watch live, it's this one. At that point, there's been more since. Hopefully tonight is not that case, but show was really good. I mean, like I said, the crowd was gigantic, which I just get to the wrestling fans for coming out for that. A lot of really good talents on the show, new tag team champions, new interstate champion, just a lot of fun. And now we've got a a little bit of a break. Still another 11 weeks to the next ESW show now. But that full show is up on IWTV. Yeah, it was a really good time as always. So
That's cool. Last night NXT was there at Riverworks, and I don't know if anybody had went. I unfortunately did not, but if you just a brief rundown of what happened, if you did go, you got to see a couple WWE guys were there. Okay, they had Bailey was there as part of a three-way team against another three ways. It was Bailey, Tatum Paxley, and Kendall Gray versus Zarya, Nikita Lyons, and Kalani Jordan. And Bailey actually got the win there. Penta was there. That's why I brought up Penta there. Penta was there. He was in a four-way match or an eight or four, whatever. Penta, Hank Waller, Tank Ledger, and Jada Parker defeated the Vanity Project, Jackson Drake, Brad Taylor, Ricky Smokes, and Myra Lockwood. We got to see Lola Vice, the NXT Women's Champ, defeat Kelly Armstrong, and then we had Tony D'Angelo defeat Naraku, who I believe is Evil, right? Is that the new name of? Is that? I'm trying to remember who Naraku is. I think because Evil.
I think
Evil.
that's what they're calling Evil. Yeah.
Yeah. So Evil, because Evil, they couldn't call him Evil when he debuted, but he didn't have a name when the first.
I mean, nobody should have ever called him Evil. That was a dumb name. But wow, you just mentioned a whole lot of people I've never heard of. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen anything from the show in terms of like how it drew and stuff. I'd be curious on that. I saw Bailey put up a nice little flashback post from her last NXT loop, which included a show in a theater outside of Philly in 2015 that I went to. That was really fun.
Oh
back
yeah.
Back in the heyday of the prime of NXT, with Balor and Owens and Charlotte and Bailey and everybody on that. So interesting to see they kind of loaded that up a little bit. I also just learned like 2 days ago that I apologize if it was mentioned on this show and I just wasn't paying attention or zoned out or something, but that Tony D'Angelo guy is the NXT champion. Didn't know that.
Yeah, Tony. Yeah. Well, he took a break for a while. I guess he was in a movie or something. And then when he came back, they immediately, it's Tony D'Angelo.
That's the guy that's from Buffalo, right? Or he went to UB or something.
Yeah, he has some connection to this area. Yeah. So he definitely that's actually it's interesting going from being a mafiosa heel to being a mafiosa face, with a character, so I don't hate him. I think I like he's one of the things I actually have liked in the changes over NXT over the last couple of years because of all the call ups and of all the people either leaving and going someplace else or being called up. So it's like he's a guy who definitely could be on one of the one of the other shows and probably eventually will. I mean, heck, Blake Monroe is debuting in SmackDown, I think, next week. And Blake Monroe was in NXT for a cup of coffee, maybe. So there's, the WWE's got the fast track going on from people. And that's why they debuted a whole bunch of new people on NXT within the last couple of weeks. And now it's just up to whether they stick or not. And that's, I guess, Shawn Michaels' issue, or Shawn Michaels' job, He is the guy. So I didn't completely forget it was last night, but they never responded. I was just trying to see if I could, maybe get some media passes or something. And they never replied. So it's like, okay, I guess you don't care, but now it's funny that one of the things I teased at when we started the show is that WWE is going on the road this summer. And it's house shows. It's our live events. It's not TV shows. So I think they posted like 10 different places they're going to be at. And, that's one of the things that I think Cody Rhodes has been pushing for in WWE since, in the last year or so is he feels there's a lot of young guys on there that aren't getting enough work in front of crowds. And because when they're not on the road, they only do, Monday. If they're not on Monday or Tuesday or Thursday or Friday, then they're not on TV. They're not working. And so he thinks that it will help, season a lot of the guys who are new to being on Raw and SmackDown by getting them on the road, which I think is wise, and plus, they can, and I heard also, believe it or not, this is really amazing.
Would have sounded better before they started slashing people's salaries.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're right. You're right. The amazing thing is they're not charging like they're charging for live events. They're escalating the price back a little bit. So, which is, there's one of the there's major complaints about what they're doing now. One's the price to go live, and two is the amount of commercials that are on during their pay-per-views, during their shows. Backlash alone, I think there was 5 matches. 2 were on free TV. So there's 3 matches on the pay-per-view. It was over by 9 o'clock last week. TKO had a UFC pay-per-view. It makes sense, or whatever. They do it on Paramount Plus now, so I don't know if you can call them pay-per-views anymore, but you have to pay for that service. So they had a UFC on Paramount Plus, and so they ended the WWE show minutes before the TKO UFC show started, which only seems logical. They don't want a conflict of interest. But I think 5 matches on a pay-per-view. I mean, if I was there and it was done before 9 o'clock, I'd be like shaking my head going, yes, listen, we did gripe when they were going till past midnight and, very late shows, but 5 matches on a pay-per-view, I don't know. I really didn't feel, I mean, it was like a glorified house show, nothing happened, I mean, the main event was very good. I will say that Roman Reigns versus Jacob Fatu, where they have to have obviously Reigns win without making Fatu look bad. And Fatu, is like now becoming an insane character on WWE TV by losing his mind after losing. And then, once again, using the death grip or whatever they call it against Roman Reigns again. They're building up that story, but obviously Backlash was, it wasn't truly rematches of everything from WrestleMania, which is nice for once, but it definitely wasn't, it could be missed. I will just say that, it wasn't must see WWE TV. So, I don't know if you guys, probably neither of you guys, I'm guessing, saw any of it, but you probably saw some of the backlash from it, right? The backlash from Backlash.
I learn more about WWE nowadays by watching people on TikTok making fun of WWE. That's where, sadly, I get
Luckily,
most of my
'cause I still don't
information.
understand TikTok, so
I have TikTok. I still don't know how
Oh,
to
I
use
don't,
it.
I don't do anything on it other than scroll mindlessly.
Oh yeah, I'm a lurker on most of
Yeah,
those things. So
I,
yeah.
I don't know if I'd use the word lurker. I feel like that has negative connotations.
Oh yeah. Well, in the olden days when you just like
Passive observer.
passive, there you go. It's like in the olden days when you'd go to like a message board or a live chat and you'd see your name in the list, but you never would say anything. That's where I think the lurker stuff came from. No, I get that. I mean, like I said, it wasn't a must see thing for WWE, but they did one big thing that came out of it was John Cena made an announcement about the John Cena Invitational or whatever. Did you guys see? I'm sure you saw stuff about that, right?
saw a post about it, something about a C classic in December in pro wrestling, which I feel like I've heard of before. But
Yeah. Yeah. So he kind of, it was very vague, I'll be honest with you, on what exactly it's about. I'll read you what I have written down here about it. And
I
it's
feel
like,
like WWE's pattern now is to say they're going to make an earth-shattering announcement that's going to shake the foundations of everything to its core without having anything, and then just like scrambling to put something together after the fact.
well, John Cena doesn't want to leave wrestling, but he has to. I mean, but he wants to leave a mark on it. So I think I heard 100% that he pitched this to them and they said, okay. So I'll read you what he said. It's a new concept that appears. He introduced, there'll be a championship titles carrying his name on them. It's also going to incorporate fan
Gonna
voting.
spin, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, I hope not. It also incorporates fan voting into the outcome of matches and tournament advancement. The announcement was made as both a history-making and career-defining, but many details surrounding the concept remains undecided behind the scenes. WWE is still actively figuring out exactly what the John Cena Classic will become. Internally, there have been discussions about whether the concept will take shape as a traditional tournament, a standalone special event, or something entirely different. At this point, the belief is that both men's and women's championships tied to Cena's branding will eventually be introduced. It's also unclear whether these titles would function similarly to the annual Crown Jewel Championship, defending once per year, rarely referenced outside of, or if they would become regularly defended championships across WWE programming. One major twist already attached to the concept is that fan voting would determine who advances through the competition rather than WWE officials selecting winners in advance. Current plan reportedly calls for both WWE main roster and NXT talents to participate in whatever form the Cena Classic ultimately takes. The addition of new championship would also further increase WWE's already crowded title landscape, depending how they are counted. WWE currently recognizes upward of 26 championships across its system, not including AAA and TNA titles, with that number potentially rising to 28 when including the Crown Jewel Championship. There have also been speculations that the John Cena Classic could eventually become an annual December event tied to a one-year anniversary of John's retirement. So it felt, when John made the announcement, he said, he just says, it's kind of like that main event that he retired on, how he picked the matches before that, the people who wrestled, there was NXT people getting over WWE people and stuff like that. And I think that that's what he wants is to give people an opportunity to be in a spotlight. And I mean, it's John trying to give back. I don't have a problem with that. It's so vague about what exactly is happening right now. But I thought he was going to come out and talk about the new streaming or the new fan service, whatever, that they've been punching like crazy, and he didn't talk about that at
Maybe
all.
that was the original plan, and they just got so much backlash online about that being the upcoming announcement that they're just like, well, we got to figure out something else.
That could be it. I mean, John did take like 10 minutes in the ring to explain it all. So it was kind of, and like WrestleMania weekend when I had 2 points that the only things I thought about that happened, that being this past backlash, John Cena's announcement. I can't think of anything else beyond that, that was memorable or, I don't even think it's truly groundbreaking. It's only groundbreaking if WWE says it is, I guess, I'm sure there's a lot of people out in the world like, yeah, whatever, there's a lot of tournaments that go on every year, once a year, Super 8, that happened, I don't know if that still happens, but that used to happen every year, and it didn't really cross, it was just different guys from different promotions coming in. So that's another thing people were talking about too, is like, we'll allow people not with WWE to be, if the fans are voting to be, present. So yeah, there's a lot of question mark, but yeah, I thought, it's like good, John tried to explain it, and he definitely has, he definitely is one who came up with a concept, but man, we'll see. I guess we'll wait around December, because they said they want to do it potentially every time, the year around the time of year he retired, which was in December. So, but it's just something to confuse.
Like there isn't already a classic in December.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think that that was just not, that it was just, I remember like when I was watching that pay-per-view, there was 2 matches left. It was 7:30 at night. I was like, wow, what is going on? It was that
people had to pay $30 for 3 matches.
And that's one of the beefs people had, was it's like, wait a second, you're making me pay this per, $28 or whatever it is, $29 a month.
For a lot of gripes about how AEW pay-per-views tend to be too long. At least you get your money's worth.
Yeah, that's for sure. It was, yeah. I'm sure
you really get your money's worth if you watch ROH.com last night for what felt like.
Yeah, I was going to mention
I was reading all the results from that, and I felt like there was almost as many matches on the pre-show as there was the main card.
Yeah, the first match on the card was like in the middle of the list. It was like they had at least 3 matches on the pre-card. So Ring of Honor.
All I know is they were teasing going to the actual pay-per-view, whatever the main card. And I think they said something about like 9 matches, 8 title matches or whatever. I was like, you still have 8 more belts or whatever? Like, what are we doing? Why is everything for at least 1 title? Oh.
Yeah, that's Tony likes to have too many titles, so
everybody in wrestling likes to have too many titles now, and it's absurd. Not every match needs to be a title match. It makes none of them important.
Yeah, so get this. They had 4 pre-show matches. That's great. One of them went 42 seconds though. That was the Russian LSG. So, yeah, I was just looking at the results. Sammy Guevara wrestled Action Andretti, Mina Shirakawa and Queen Aminata beat Lacey Lane and Janai Kai by submission. Rascals wrestled, I mean, these are guys, obviously, that, you have the Rascals, they always put it on high flying, great matches. These guys, so they maybe if you put in the last one before the pay-per-view, you can get people to, actually pay the $9.99 fee or whatever it is per month for the Ring of Honor service, streaming service. But I heard
that's a lot of recognizable names to put on a pre-show.
Yeah. Well, the first match, if being a fan, I loved reading about what Nigel did in the first match. How Nigel McGuinness versus Josh Woods, and they both at one point sat down at the announcers' tables and put the headphones on, and I guess then the referee came and sat down and put the headphones on and told him to get back in the ring. Nigel, I've had enough of this. I'm going to just announce from now on. So there's some fun stuff on the I love it. And Nigel won too. So I'll give him a lot of, kudos, 50-year-old guy winning on a pay-per-view. So yeah, that was last night. Now, if you weren't at NXT at Riverworks, you could have watched Ring of Honor, Card of Honor. Is that what they called it? The
Super Card of Honor.
Super Card of Honor. Yeah.
I feel like the best thing to come out of that was Dalton Castle and the Outrunners.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't get to see enough of them on AEW program. They really should be on.
We don't.
That wasn't the set of titles I wanted them to win, but I'll take it.
So they're now the Ring of Honor Trios champs. Is that yeah? So
the 6-man tag champs, whatever you want to call it.
World 6-man, whatever. I mean, it was good to see they came out as like the I don't remember if it was an open challenge or whatever. They weren't named ahead of time, but was kind of the assumption as I was looking up and down the card. I was like, why is he not on this? Okay, it's probably this. And
I was gonna say, if you ever wonder what happened to Anthony Ogogo, all you had to do is watch last night. He's there, not in wrestling, but
he had a stare down afterwards because there was after the match, like Dalton and the Outrunners won, and then they then got beat down by their opponents, and then Orange Cassidy came out and Mark Briscoe came out, and there was stare down with Anthony Ogogo and stuff. But there were a lot of people popping up, like Swerve popped up last night, Orange Cassidy popped up last night. There was a lot of like utilizing this pay-per-view to push next weekend's AEW pay-per-view as well. Kind of setting things up on that. But yeah, I mean, that, like, for me, that was the highlight of that. I didn't realize it'd been like 2.5 years since Dalton had held a championship. And I mean, the Outrunners are so deserving of some kind of gold or silver.
You don't want to make a new one up for them, but they should definitely take something. Yeah, without a doubt.
I mean, that's such a I mean, I would obviously campaign for Dalton Castle to be on every single week, but
sure.
Outrunners were getting so over, and we felt like they were going to win the AEW tag belts and stuff, and then just disappear.
Yeah,
like this classic booking of like, let's build somebody up and have them appear every show for weeks and weeks, and then vanish.
Now they're on Ring of Honor. Now they're going to be on streaming services, which, yeah, it's a shame, But there was like a ton of titles. You're right, there was a ton of titles last night because we had Deonna Purrazzo defending the Ring of Honor Pure Women's Championship, which Diamante, I think it is, and that was So and then you had Lee Moriarty defending the Ring of Honor Pure Championship against Ace Austin. You had Mark Davis, the new winner of the AEW National Championship. I don't know.
He beat? I'm just waiting for this.
Zelhua, is that how you say it? Zelhua?
Shelha.
Shelha? Okay.
Shelha.
I know you're messing with me.
I was just waiting.
I mean,
that's something anybody would see on paper and be like, Xelhua. Okay. I think, but
I can't even name half the counties in Pennsylvania. So,
that once they got to the main card, like that, the main card opened with that Nigel match, think the Nigel match was the only non-title match on the main card. I'm pretty sure everything else was for a belt.
Yeah, we had Red Velvet defending the Women's Ring of Honor Women's Championship, Viva Van, and we had I mean, Bandito defeated Blake Christian, Athena
Man,
won.
that Bandito and Blake Christian was so good, so good. I mean, as expected, those two, but I was buying in at one point. I thought they were gonna put the strap on Blake, but did not. So, and then Swerve came out, and then it's like they're pushing Swerve and Bandito in this feud, and them wrestling in the Owen at Double or Nothing. It's like, so when Bandito loses that match, like, does Swerve become the Ring of Honor World Champion, or like, why does Bandito still have that belt?
Yeah.
You're giving him losses on AEW, which is under the same umbrella. I don't know. It's just very weird to see a world champion under that umbrella taking losses.
Yeah, that's for sure. And then the survival of the fittest match for the women's championship ended ended the night there with Athena.
It did. Yes, six person elimination, whatever, for the women's world title, and that was there's been a lot of mixed reviews on that match. I've seen a lot of people really praising it, really said it was fun and they loved it and stuff. I'm gonna be honest, I did not like that match, and that sucks because there's so much in that, and I was really happy that match was main eventing. But there were, I think, unfortunately, Matthew from Botchamania is going to have a field day with that.
Oh no! Oh no!
It just, I mean, that's what happened when you put 6 people in a match and they're all involved at once, and then they're doing spots with 4 people at once, and the timing and stuff. I don't know. And it to be honest, like, it's just like a couple years. This Athena Billy Starks thing, they've been building up for years and years and years, and 2 years ago, Final Battle was like, okay, Billy's gonna finally beat Athena. Didn't happen. Then they do the same match a year later. Didn't happen. And it's like, all right, well, it'd be kind of lame if Billy beats Athena, but it's in a 6-person match. Like, that kind of kills the vibe of it a little bit.
Yeah.
And still didn't win. She was the second to last elimination in it. So I hope to God that Tony Khan is just like, okay, like, let's pull Billy up to the main roster and just be done with this, and with her and Athena, because again, they've done that. So much of that has been on AEW. A lot of it has been on an ROH.
Yeah.
But there's some point, if you do, especially these days in wrestling, if you do a long-term story, there has to be a payoff.
Yeah.
You have to at some point get to this. And now we're years and years. I mean, Athena's title reign is now
2 years now.
3.5.
3.5 years.
Yeah, she got that. I think it was Final Battle 2022 against Mercedes Martinez. So 3.5 years, which is essentially double the world title reign that everybody talks about that Samoa Joe had back in the mid 2000s. Yeah. Everybody's like, oh, it's so long. Because back then, like, holding the title for a little over a year was like, oh my God, or close to 2 years. Like, that didn't happen. And that coming out of the Attitude Era with, title changes every night and minute 40 matches and stuff. But to me, it's just, I really, really like both of those wrestlers, and I feel like they're being just punished with this booking at this point. They've done so well, and they don't ever get this payoff. And honestly, at this point, like, it's exhausting to watch that. I don't want to pay off anymore. I want them to be done with it, like, walk away with it. And that's it's a shame, I guess. Like, with all things considered, that could have been such a big, like, those crowds were ready. It reminds me so much of Cody and Roman and the Bloodline, and things are just like, oh my God, they're not doing this. It's going to be a whole nother year until Cody wins the title. But then we got the payoff.
Yeah.
This is just like, they did that with this basically, but then you didn't get the payoff, and here we are another year later, and still no payoff. It's just like, what's going on here? Like, in the grand scheme of things, people aren't really paying that close attention to Ring of Honor, and I don't know. It's very strange, I guess, just to see like the amount of talent on that card that you just went through. Like there's so many people just lost in ROH limbo, and that at least that the booking could be better there. At least maybe hand the book off to somebody else. You don't have to book every single show yourself when you own all of these
I mean, he could also like make an edict and saying no crossovers between AEW and Ring of Honor. But I think that he is the first person to take someone from Ring of Honor and bring them to AEW to lose to somebody else most of the time, which,
I mean, it was a good opportunity for a lot of people that we have seen in AEW who just don't have a spot there right now or haven't for a while. That it's good to at least get to see them wrestle. But
I'm sure they volunteered ever since Dark went away and all the recorded programs. They're like, hey, we want
Rampage
and Rampage. Yeah, we need to keep fresh. We need to keep wrestling. We'll do anything. Put us on Ring of Honor.
There are so many people that come to mind that at least got Rampage matches on a consistent basis that now it's just like, oh wow, they're still under contract, but there's nothing to, because now it's literally just like Collision. They try to make the, I don't know, the 1B show, and it's all the same people. And
I mean, they had a title change on Collision last week. I mean, that was a pretty big deal, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a shame.
It's too like there's too much repeating people that are on every show and all that stuff. And I mean, for me personally, like, I don't know, I've obviously been a fan of Ring of Honor since the very first show they did, but it's not my priority to watch it on a weekly basis at this point, even though I love the roster and love seeing that's the place that some other people, some indie people and stuff get some work.
Yeah.
You mentioned Mike Bennett earlier. I was a little surprised to see that Mike Bennett and Matt Taven walked out last night onto the stage, and they're back because they've been gone, done with the contract gone. But they came back, and I don't think they're on the card for tonight, but they teased Bennett and Taven against Alec Price and Jordan Oliver, and I'm so ready for that match wherever that happens.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Well, it's good. It's it's his birthday today. So happy birthday, Mike Bennett or Mike Kanellis or whatever you want to call him. Yeah, we haven't really seen him much since his wife was really, not re-signed. And
yeah, no surprise Maria did not come back with them. So he's not there, which probably the best for all parties at this point.
Yeah, that's
But yeah, I mean, they made a big deal about signing Price and Oliver. Price and Oliver were on Dynamite and then the impromptu Collision that same week. And I don't know if they've been on AEW TV since, maybe once. It's been for like all these things, like Deonna Purrazzo, you mentioned, like hasn't been on AEW TV in a year and a half, maybe. I don't know. Just off the top of my head, like all these, there's so many people, but instead we just need to see the same people getting matches on TV every single show.
Yeah, well, they there is actually a good live Collision tonight, by the way. So in case I think I'm gonna be a little tied up. There's so many other things going on, though. I will watch it on the.
Is there a hockey game tonight?
Isn't there a hockey game tonight?
I think there's a hockey game tonight.
There's a game 6 tonight
on ABC. Wish it was on TNT and not this. I can't stand this ESPN coverage. It's driving me insane. And I can't and they've got the freaking Stanley Cup final here.
Have you noticed, is this just me or there's more commercials now in the playoffs and the games? There are more commercial breaks during I
think some of it is that like they've been doing, and I don't know if I've noticed this as much in the playoffs, but probably like a lot of the networks have been squeezing in more like commercials that aren't really breaks. Like they still have like a little picture-in-picture thing, but like they're not going to they're not committing to a commercial break. They're just like, here's a commercial while we're waiting for like everybody to skate down the ice for the icing call face off and stuff. Like
Seriously, no, you're right. Or whether they're waiting for the face off, and it's I've seen WWE's been doing that too on SmackDown. They'll like watch this. Don't forget to check this show out Friday, November, whatever, and then they'll do like a 5-second promo, and then it'll shrink and come back up. It's like it's a way to do it.
It's
a way to do it without timeouts, I guess. Because I mean, really, that's the thing about hockey is there really is not a lot of time stoppage in a period.
No, and I mean, I don't know. There was one game that like the wait for immediate timeout was crazy. The intermissions are a little bit longer, and the frustrating part is, especially in the playoffs, that a 7 o'clock face-off becomes like 7:22.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous. But yeah, I don't know. It reminds me of WWE in some ways, with how like, oh, we could also put advertising on this and that. Like now, of course, they've got the fake dashboard boards in hockey,
Oh,
which
that drives me crazy. It's like, what is going on? You
Yeah.
can see it like shooting down the board. Yeah, I hate that.
right. The animation part is probably when that first started, I was just like, this is bad. This is distracting.
It is distracting. Yeah.
They've improved the technology of it, but it should not change as much. And it just makes me really miss the old days of watching a playoff game with like the Stanley Cup playoffs logo in the ice, just inside the blue lines. And then I don't know, now just everything has to be sponsored. Now we've had like the helmet logos for everybody for a few years now, but now like the Sabres are getting jersey patch, which just no, just killing a classic look. I really hate everything. I don't know. I don't know if we if hockey fans and WWE fans and stuff should blame NASCAR or like where this, but it just keeps getting worse and worse.
Oh, UFC does it too with the patches and jackets and things like that. And yeah, the thing now, one quick question: what's your prediction for tonight? Because tonight, Sabres win or done in Montreal. They play better on the road. I will
I was gonna
say
say they've been playing better on the road.
they've definitely been playing
They
better.
play better on the road. It is also hockey night in Canada in the Bell Center.
Oh, they're rad.
With Montreal Montreal has the momentum, and the top stars for Buffalo aren't doing anything. And Tage is definitely hurt. But I want to be optimistic.
They need to find that defense they had when they won the 3-2 when they were there last time. So that's one thing. I mean, that game was a nail biter anyways, continuously. But yeah, they need
I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's just because it's like the morning and I haven't had coffee yet, whatever, but let's put it this way. I'm not going to say my prediction out loud, and I hope it's wrong.
Okay. Oh, well, I know what you're thinking then. Okay.
Well, I'm traveling an hour and a half
don't feel
tonight
good.
to go to a place called Taste of Buffalo Pizzeria to watch the game. So I hope it's worth the drive.
Well, listen to this. I hope it comes back to Buffalo for Game 7. Okay, and then I don't care. Then it's like, then we got they've got Carolina up next. So it's like, or
Yeah,
whoever wins.
I mean, I don't want to look too far ahead with it, but being realistic, I really hope that my feeling right now is not correct. Keep in mind, we were talking about the Sabres back in January, and they were a month into like, is this team actually like kind of good? And I was still like, I don't know about this, and I don't know about the goaltending and stuff. And they have far exceeded my expectations from that point. That's for damn sure. But being realistic and breaking the rule and thinking ahead, like, do Buffalo or Montreal have a shot against Carolina? Does Vegas have a shot against Colorado? To me, like hopefully Buffalo can pull some stuff off and keep this magical run going. But to me, the main question is Carolina or Colorado, who's going to beat who. Those teams are just on a different level. Things are only going to get much more difficult for whoever gets out of this series.
Seriously, I mean, Philadelphia could have done some favors, that's for sure. You know.
Yeah, and the schedulers. I mean, it feels like that series ended about a month ago at this point.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah,
it's been a week or whatever. But like, yeah, I mean, it's just that scheduling is ridiculous. Thank God.
I am hoping that Montreal jinx themselves. I don't know if you saw. There's some. I don't know what show it was, but some Canadian either podcast or radio show or something, they were calling local Buffalo funeral homes, seeing if they could arrange a funeral.
Oh.
No, I didn't see that.
Morning radio
I'm
wackiness.
hoping that just jinxed the hell out of them.
I've seen that a bunch of the places are up there are now like they're selling Montreal wings now and stuff, and I don't know. I mean, I love Montreal as a city. That's no surprise, but like, there's also plenty of things to hate, and so now is a good couple weeks to feel that hatred and to call out there.
Well, that first game they played there, whether the Sea of Red, when they came into it, it's like, holy cow! There's, you know, you would be dead if you were a Buffalo fan there. There was just, it was like so much red.
It's that atmosphere is insane. I mean, like the atmosphere in a lot of these places has been so good in the playoffs. And there's nothing, I mean, the Buffalo crowds have, maybe not the other night, but they have been very loud and everything. But Montreal is just on a different level. That's also like a slightly larger building than most in the NHL and stuff. And it is.
Did you think that a third of the crowd would have left if they were in Montreal and they were down by 6 to whatever it was, 6-2, because that the Sabres crowd just disappeared in that third quarter. You know, they just.
The Sabres crowd disappeared. It's just too bad that there were still so many people left after the Sabres crowd disappeared. But there were a lot of red jerseys.
There was. Yeah, well, of course
I mean, I even noticed it like the night before that game, the Blue Jays were home, and I think that was the walk-off grand slam night, and just like they panned to the crowd as like Varsha's running the bases, and I just see so many Montreal jerseys in the crowd, like going nuts for a Blue Jays win. I was just like, what? Like,
yeah, because they're on their way to
like
Buffalo.
Sometimes it feels weird to be a Blue Jays fan as like a Buffalo fan, because obviously there's a rivalry in hockey and stuff. But like Toronto and Montreal, I'm just like, this is. I understand the Blue Jays are Canada's team, but this is just bizarre seeing all of these Habs fans in the crowd just going nuts. And they got an exciting win that night, and then they continued their drive down to Buffalo. They got an exciting win for themselves that next night too. So
I was going to say if somehow the Maple Leafs were still in it, maybe you'd see some Maple Leaf jerseys, but they all swapped them.
And they swapped them in their coach. And
they swapped them out for the Blue Jays. So, but okay, there's the hockey portion of the show done. But I wanted to get that in there because tonight is.
Let's go game. Buffalo.
There we go. I hope I can get. There's so much going on tonight because Ronda Rousey's fighting tonight.
Which is Carolina would crush Montreal. That's the last thing to say.
Well, I think Carolina. I'm scared. They're always been a thorn in the side of the Sabres. The last Sabres playoff run ended in Carolina.
Right around Memorial Day weekend. Yeah. There's some bad memories from 20 years ago. This week, or next week, whatever.
Who is it? Was it Eric Young who was a fan of Carolina? Somebody was, and we had him on, and they were like, someone was like, like
they have fans.
Yeah. Oh no, maybe he was a Nashville Predators fan.
He's a Nashville fan. Yeah.
So someone was on with us, and they were like, a fan of Carolina, and it's like I remember that's how old the show is that we talked about hockey 20 years ago during that run. So okay, let's get back to let me talk some wrestling. But I wanted to get
that series was that on OLN before Versus?
Oh my God.
Yeah, going back a ways.
So let's talk a little bit about this past week's AEW Dynamite, and I just wanted to mention that we had a return that came on that popped in, and we got to see. It was nice to see Brian Cage back. He obviously still with Don Callis and the Callis family, but it's like Callis has like two families. He has like the A family and the B family, and I think Brian Cage is on the B side there. But it was nice to see him back, looking great, man. The guy had like was it an ACL injury that he had issues with or something? I'm trying to remember what it was. I know that he had to have
I thought it
like
was shoulder or something, but I don't
something.
know.
He had multiple surgeries. I know that. And it's like, it's good to see him back. He looked great last night. I still, every time I see him, I think of Wolverine from the X-Men, because that's what he, when he had those chops going and everything. And then I'm hearing Buddy Matthews is going to be back sometime soon. He actually showed up in Australia, I believe it was, at a wrestling show last week or this week.
WSW, yeah.
Yeah. So it's good to see some of these talents coming back. Hopefully they'll get to use, I mean, as long as they keep starting like their shows with 8-man matches, everyone will get on TV eventually. This past week we saw, obviously, I don't know if you thought about Orange Cassidy trying to teach Christian how to put his hands in his pockets, but that was an interesting match to start Dynamite this past week. It was fun. I think I like to have fun, and inserting all these major stars into it. But they got a pay-per-view next weekend, so it's like that's coming very quickly as well. Trying to set that up. And you said Swerve made an appearance last night at Ring of Honor. That's like, this is Swerve's first appearance, I think, in a while. So he, I don't know if he's going
to. I mean, they've been teasing this whole little feud with him and Bandito and stuff.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that they're building it up. I don't know where. I mean, neither one of those guys should really take a loss in that match, but it is what it is. I don't know. Like, I don't know how I feel about these Owen brackets.
Let's talk about that, because I got to pull them up. I have them on here. So they announced the women's bracket and the men's bracket, and the women's bracket has Persephone versus Suzuki, Willow Nightingale against Alex Windsor, Mina Shirakawa versus Athena, Sky Blue, and Suri. So that's all going to be at Double or Nothing, is it? I think.
No,
only Willow and Alex is at Double or Nothing.
Okay, yeah.
And then Swerve, Bandito, and Samoa Joe and Will Ospreay.
Yeah, there's Ospreay, Samoa Joe, Mark Davis, Jack Perry, Swerve Strickland, and Bandito, and Claudio, and Brody King. So but those are the ones. So that's excellent. That is, how are you feeling about these brackets, Rob? I mean, they, you know what?
I have nothing.
I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with you. No Mercedes Moné. I mean, listen, and we haven't had Mercedes in like 6 months now.
Yeah.
And so, but Mercedes is the defending champ of the Owen Cup from last year.
So I don't. They make such a big deal out of these tournaments, but like, I don't know. Maybe it's just because like when I first became a wrestling fan, it was King of the Ring nights, and you had 8 people in a tournament in one night. And like when you have an extended tournament out like this and you build it up and it's like, I wish there were qualifying matches, or 16 instead of 8, or 12 instead of 8, or something. That there's just, it feels like almost everybody is being left out. I guess that's how I feel about it. And so because there's so few people that actually get in, I actually would love to not see anybody who has won a previous Owen be in a tournament again. To be honest, there's too few spots that I'm glad there's not Mercedes. I don't really think Willow needs to be in there. There's so many other options that, I mean, like what is it going to do for somebody who's already won that tournament to win it again? And I don't know. I like on the men's side of things, it's tough because we've been talking for like a year, it feels like, about who's going to win the Owen this year. But like long before the brackets were ever revealed this week, everybody's just like, so when Ospreay wins the Owen and stuff, like, I mean, it's just been kind of like a foregone conclusion on that it kind of makes it difficult to care as much about the other matches on the men's side. That the main question is, who is he going to face in the finals? Which, I mean, there are different possibilities, but I wouldn't be shocked if it ends up being Swerve. I feel like it maybe should be Brody, but that's, so I don't know.
I will say that there's some intriguing initial matchups, Brody King and Claudio Castagnoli. That, I mean, obviously Swerve and Bandito, that, I mean, they've been teasing that a long time. They probably could have made that the finals of this and moved things around. But
Well, and it's tricky because, like, okay, so the other one then is Mark Davis and Jack Perry.
yeah,
And obviously, we just saw that match a week ago with Davis winning the title. So, like, cool that there's kind of a rematch, but I'm assuming, like, that's not going to be for the Nationals Championship. And, like, so you make Jack Perry lose again to set up Davis and Osprey in the semis, which obviously there's a connection there.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I assume is going to happen. But I just like it's the same kind of thing. Like I really like Mark Davis. Really happy that he got a title and he's back. He's healthy. He's doing a great job. Does he need to be in the Owen also? I don't think so. Like you have all of these titles. Like let the people who are already champions focus on their current titles. I don't know. It just there's so many other people that could have been in some of these spots. And
Yeah.
I really like Brody King. Would love to see him have a great run in this tournament. Same time, like Claudio gonna have to suffer another loss here, like in the first round. Like it's like how many times are you predicting that Claudio's gonna lose?
True. Yeah.
He should be in a prime spot. I mean, he's one of the best wrestlers in the world. So
I agree. I agree. And you remember Will Ospreay was like the runner up last year. So that maybe that, it could be like a runner up thing. But yeah.
And then there's the women's side, which is just, I'm really happy that there are some interesting names, some surprise names in it. And I really like that there are possibilities as to who could win this. It's I don't know. I guess the only question mark would be like if the Brawling Birds weren't potentially going to beat the Divine Dominion at All In, then Alex Windsor could win this tournament singles and go after Tekla, and that could still happen too. But this is maybe an even bigger example of like, okay, it's cool. Like I love that you've got like Sari coming in and like Persephone is getting a bigger spot, but she's hurt right now. She missed the ROH pay-per-view last night. Was supposed to be in that main event. Cerise said she was taking a month off. And stuff like I don't know. There's a bunch of injuries going on that women's side that maybe that's why only one of the opening round matches is on the pay-per-view. But when you add in people outside your roster into this tournament, which could be like the finals of the tournament are at Forbidden Door. Yeah. So it's kind of a perfect setup to have Forbidden Door type people make it to the finals on men's and or women's side. But how many women are in AEW every week and are not in this tournament? Almost all of them.
Yeah. Seriously.
Like Athena's on an ROH. I mean, Sari, Hazuki, Persephone, like none of them are even like regular part. Like two of them are outside of the company. Persephone is like should be getting more consistent work. I think she's going to be. I think they're going to push her well when she's healthy and stuff. But in terms of like the established regular AEW roster members in this 8-woman tournament, there's a couple. And like Sky Blue doesn't really win matches.
No, and Willow won 2 years ago in the Owens.
So she doesn't need to be, and she's a TBS champion, so she does not need to be in this tournament.
Yeah.
That's like that to me, like I don't like her being in the tournament at all. And I really do like Willow, but there's no need for that. The only thing that helps is that she can put somebody over in it. But again, then at that point, problem with too many titles, then you've got your champion, one of your main champions losing a match,
losing in a tournament,
still being champion. Like it's just, I don't know. I don't love this selection of 8.
Yeah, I'd say it'd be nice if Tony
said all Chris Statlander.
Yeah, really.
Like, a lot of people.
Chris Statlander was the loser to Mercedes Moné in last year's finals, so I think that's I think, yeah, there's a lot of people who are missing, and they should do is Tony should say all bets are off and all titles involved in this tournament can change hands in the bracket or something. And I wouldn't have a
Yeah.
problem with that, because I hate when a champion loses and still has a title. I mean, WWE used to do it with the non-title matches with the title holders, and I always hated that too. So it was
Well, and it's like a broken record thing, but like when you have so many titles, now there's all these instances of people with titles going for additional titles or going to try to win a tournament. And it's just not necessary. Like, and when you have so many, like on the women's side of things, you've got a pretty good amount of people on that roster. Establish Windsor and Hayter as a women's tag team. Don't put them in a singles tournament or what, like you save that spot for somebody focused on the singles side of things. Like Alex Windsor is one of my favorite people on this bracket, and I also don't think she should be in this bracket. She should be in the tag division, focused on that. That's been one of the biggest issues with major wrestling companies booking tag teams in recent decades. And like, oh, we're going to put these people together, but then they're also going to work singles matches and what? Like, no, like you have so many people on the roster, you don't need to double dip with all these people.
Oh, I agree. And it's unfortunate that we'll see where it goes. I mean, I'm guessing Windsor. Yeah, I see Windsor getting past the first round. Maybe that's what Willow's there is, put Windsor over. But I don't. Yeah, it's not a great.
My prediction, if you're looking at the actual graphics of the brackets, the bracket one, the top left on both of them has the winner. Will Ospreay, Persephone. I think that's how it's
bold prediction, my man. But I mean, obviously, Ospreay. This is the year of Ospreay, I'm guessing. I mean, we should see Ospreay pretty much achieve most of.
Well, and as much as I complain about when things are predictable or whatever, like that's not the case here. Like it absolutely should be the year of Ospreay. They have held off on Ospreay for years at this point. He went through the surgery and everything. Like it's time to strap the rocket ship to him. But like you also have this weird thing going on with him and the Death Riders and Moxley that like, is that going to keep going, or can like we move past that?
We got that training segment last week on Dynamite where they're outside, and I don't know. I mean, it's almost like a mentorship kind of thing going on with them. So I don't, it's probably going to come down. Do you think? Well, I don't know. I mean, obviously, All In with a title win for Ospreay is where I think we're moving towards. But who will be holding the title against him at that time? Will it be Jon Moxley? I mean, because of this whole build up, what he's doing with him now.
I can see them going with like Ospreay kind of breaks apart from this, but it continues on with like because Ospreay's matches with Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
And Ospreay's got this like not really affiliation, whatever, with the Death Riders. Joe is obviously the leader of the Ops. Like I could see All In being like leading to the Ops and the Death Riders doing something like at All In, but Ospreay just being gone from that situation before that, which that would be fine with me if they go that route. But Ospreay needs to, like, you get past the match with him and Joe, and then I feel like you just need to. Ospreay needs to just be focused by himself, and I mean that's the moment, and I guess that's the, thinking about the different things they could do it All In. Ospreay winning the title is the biggest thing, and then of course, like mentioned, like the Brawling Birds, and like it makes me think like I don't want them to do every single like Wembley moment ever. You think of like the ones that have already happened with like
Saraya.
Yeah. Mariah May.
Mariah
like
May.
Both of those have already happened. That like you don't need everybody to like be built up to win in their home country in England at Wembley. Like that's a little overkill at that point. But I also am here for a Divine Dominion and Brawling Birds feud Let's go on and on. I'm a big fan of both those teams. So.
Definitely. So yeah, we got a lot of excitement coming up this year for if you're an Osprey fan. And then you're right. He has been there. I mean, the thing about him is, I always worry about any great wrestler is when they have the injury that's going to end their career or it's going to cause them to be gone for 2 years, and Osprey just had, surgery, and, it's like, you got to hit while it's hot, get it, get him while he's in his prime, because this guy has put on some incredible matches in AEW since he's joined. And he, I mean, you never try to book around injuries thinking they're going to happen, but they do. And it kind of changes how things go, and it's like,
it absolutely does. I mean, look at what, when AEW started or whatever, like Kenny Omega was one of the biggest non-WWE stars in the world. And like, we're at a point where like, he's not really healthy. He's never going to be 100% again. And so I agree with that like Osprey's still young. He could go on for decades and decades to be one of the best of all time. I think you can kind of easily make a case for him being the best wrestler in the world these days. But you've already held it off for a couple of years. Like you had your patience with that. Like you don't need to wait longer because you don't know what the future holds with all that stuff.
And his style is dangerous, I mean, not dangerous. I mean, he's a technician in there, but he does do things that take risks sometimes, and that's how injuries happen. So if he,
and you never know. I mean, sometimes you just have to strike while the iron is hot. And I don't know if I wouldn't say Osprey right now is at like his peak so far of like, fan interest and everything. But that can easily be built up between now and all in. Sometimes you have to do the obvious thing. As much as like I'm probably one of the top people that fights against that sometimes because I like the unpredictability of things with the storytelling and all sorts of stuff. And we've always talked about like how the chase to a belt is usually ends up being more exciting than once that person actually gets the belt. But with Osprey, like it's time to pull that trigger. It's time for him to get that belt and to be the face of the company.
Yeah. And I think
the question, I guess, is like, what do we do between now and then?
Yeah.
I still have the feeling that Darby's title, like we talked about it before that match even got booked, before Darby won the title, it's just like, all right, well, he's going to hold the title for a month and that's it. And they've been squeezing in as many title matches as possible to try to make this little brief run meaningful. But I don't know if MJF is going to have a movie or something coming up or whatever, or if MJF carries the belt in to lose it to Osprey. But yeah, to me, that's the only real question right now is who is Osprey beating?
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah, it's true. And I mean, well, they signed the contract this past week. So if MJF loses, he gets his head shaved. So maybe that fall, I think he wins. It seems that, he kind of, everything was going against him when he lost. It was like, I just got done with a huge match, and the night before I'm still hurt. I'm not expected, and then it was a quick title win. And I mean, they're throwing out explanations why he lost before it ever happened when he did. So maybe he wins it back. But there's some cool things that came out of this week's Dynamite when
I think he's losing that match.
Think he's losing that match?
I think it's a fitting time for a certain cowboy to come back.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say we're gonna have a bald-headed MJF then. Maybe that's part of his gig for his next movie. He's gonna lose his hair. I like how the
Hangman thing came into my mind last night, like specifically on that. But maybe that just delays MJF getting the belt back or whatever. I just don't like. Osprey's not going to beat Darby, so somebody's got to take it from Darby first. The question is just.
And Darby's beaten everybody that's been put in front of him so far. So, even Brody King, which, it's always enjoyable to watch how a little guy can beat a big guy and how it works around. And it was a good match. So, I mean, it was quality, but you can't do it too many times. You can't have, the little guys beating like the 7-foot tall dudes, but
that's why I'm looking forward to tonight's match.
Definitely. So I do want to mention a couple of things from this past week's Dynamite that popped up. One, there's continued rumors and buzz about a potential Mick Foley appearing in AEW sometime soon. There was, I guess, a report echoed from Sports Illustrated indicating that the company does have interest in collaborating with Foley in some capacity. So Mick Foley, always good on the mic. You can't, and he's obviously a wrestling fan. So kudos if that does, when that happens, if that happens. I know it's, Mick Foley has been everywhere. So, I mean, I don't, he's just not with WWE. It pretty much seems to be out since his edict about Donald Trump. So take him out of the Hall of Fame. But Tekla has now confirmed recent reports that she signed a new contract, and that we talked about that a couple weeks ago. She got a big pay raise. ROH announced that Global Wars is returning June 18th in Cincinnati, Ohio. It'll be streamed on Honor Club, and it'll feature talents from CMLL and Stardom. So that's some things that came out of this week. They did use a bunch of indie wrestlers this past week from the Asheville area down in North Carolina. Brittany Jade, Leah Knight, Amanda Kiss, Ori Gold, and Emily J. All got some time with AEW at Dynamite this past week. And that's really what came out of this past week's Dynamite. It was solid Dynamite. I mean, Buddy Matthews should be coming back soon, like I mentioned. Got a lot of things. Rob, I don't know if you saw the story about AEW and Triller not using Triller anymore for their pay-per-views.
Oh yeah.
Seems to be that they're it was like the last pay-per-view that they stopped doing anything with them, and it was like such a shock to a lot of people who use that system to buy the pay-per-views. And so, or it was the last one, I think, but it's like, so there's like lawsuits going between them about something or another, but still GCW unpaid monies. Yeah, I know GCW still
like $5 million or whatever for AEW is waiting on from Triller. Yeah, it's a big deal. I mean, it's a big discussion in certain circles and stuff right now, because that's GCW is the top indie, and a lot of their financial side of things is very tied in with Triller, and makes you a little nervous, I guess, in terms of what is the long term, even medium term future for Triller and all of that, because I mean, that's a big contract that GCW and Triller have together to put together so many shows. I mean, GCW runs more than TNA. They run close to the same amount as AEW, really, when you think about it. And I don't know if Triller can't figure things out, that could have a huge impact in so many different ways on stuff. But they went into all these big contracts with people, and AEW obviously being the biggest name of all of them. But I mean, they've worked with TNA, they've worked with countless indies, international companies and stuff, and it's concerning. More and more has come out on that this week, and some like emails that were found between people in the company and stuff. And I don't know. I mean, I certainly watch Triller a lot. GCW has a 3-show weekend right now. So after that 14-hour Ring of Honor show last night, of course, then I put on the GCW show from Detroit last night and watched some of that. And we'll watch more of it tonight. And they're in St. Louis tonight, and then Des Moines tomorrow. So it's quite the crazy loop. But yeah, I mean, that's like the wrestling business in general, like it's changed so much, and so much of it now is based off of streaming and stuff. And I mean, that's the way the world's gone. That's especially how the sports world has gone.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, I say AEW, when they're promoting Double or Nothing, they're talking about HBO Max. They've been like hitting that heavy on TV recently. So that may be one of the ways that you'll be able to get the pay-per-view. And if you have HBO Max already, I think it's only like $19 on top of the regular, what you're paying for them. So
I think it's 40.
Oh, is it 40?
I want to say it's like 40 compared to 50 if you don't, maybe.
Okay.
But
I remember seeing it was like, but nevertheless, yeah, that's I guess you could tell that without some places that's kind of where they're pushing now for people to get their pay-per-views, especially when they do it on TV. So, during the
I
TV.
mean, streaming's taken over, and I mean, for a lot of us, it's been, I don't know. I've pushed back on a lot of it and stuff. It is kind of the way the world has gone, but it's such a big benefit to the wrestling business at this point. I remember when hockey teams started to go streaming instead of traditional radio and stuff like that, and like the world's changing on that. All things considered, though, the Buffalo Bills opening their new stadium on a Thursday night on Amazon Prime Video
Yeah.
against a non-conference opponent is just, it makes me sick. Hopefully Al Michaels is a little excited that night, but we'll see.
A good team, Detroit, probably. I mean, possibly, but
why is it not a rival? Why is it on a Thursday? Why is it exclusively on Prime? Just not. I absolutely hate everything.
I immediately saw the ticket prices and said, I'm glad I'm going to be watching it from home. Because
ticket prices, I can only imagine what the ticket prices are going to like jump up to for like the Chiefs on Thanksgiving night and stuff. Like it's going to be
Buffalo's playing 2 holidays this year. They're playing on Christmas and Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I don't love it, to be honest. Like less than half. It's so weird because like the Bills sucked for so long, and even before they sucked, like it was just like the Bills play at 1:00 Eastern on Sunday, and like every few years be like, oh my god, we got a Monday night game, one Monday night game, first time in 4 years or whatever stuff, and now it's like more than half the games are like different situations: Sunday night, Thursday night, Saturday night, Thanksgiving, Christmas, all this stuff. I don't know. I kind of like the routine of like 1:00 games.
They're nice, that's for sure.
It's a very first world problem because back in the day it was like, oh my god, like why don't we get a Monday night game or whatever? And now it's just like, do we need this many? Like, I don't know, because they don't always turn out that.
No, that's true, and the whole world gets to see. So I like the 1:00 games as well. So I do.
There's something that really sucks. I don't know why, because like most sports that I watch are at night, and you can count wrestling shows in that as well. But like Sabres don't play actually, yeah, till what, 8 something tonight. It's off. But there's something about a Bills game being at night. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just because I think of like watching so many games at 1:00. You're just like, oh my god, I'm waiting all day. Like, are we at kickoff yet? Like, it's like agonizing some of those days. You're waiting for like a Sunday night face off or kickoff. But yeah, I don't know.
It's called football church. Sundays football church. So
you wake up, you get some things ready, and there's the game. It's a great way to start your Sunday, as opposed to waiting all Sunday for it to start, and that's all you're thinking about until kickoff.
Exactly. Yeah. No, so I hate Sunday night games because the fact that they also start much later than normal, like 8:30 games or whatever. And
and Chris Collinsworth.
That's true. That too. So if you're watching, if you're going to watch AEW Collision tonight, it's live. Salisbury, Maryland at the,
with almost looking at that card, it looks like almost everybody was on the ROH show in Salisbury last night.
Okay. So is it called the
Wickham? Kind of repeating people, but
Wicomico Civic Center, is that how they say it?
I don't even know. Yeah, I don't know if is that some college like. I haven't been to Salisbury. I forgot about Salisbury, Maryland, to be honest.
Think of steak. So Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara for the AEW World Championship is going to be on it. Willow Nightingale, Red Velvet for the TBS Championship. Ciampa versus Mark Briscoe. AEW Women's Tag Champs Megan Bayne and Lena Cross hold a 5-minute challenge. Probably be someone from the Ring of Honor show, but AEW Trios Champions, Orange Cassidy, Roderick Strong, and Kyle O'Reilly versus Lee Moriarty, Carly Bravo, and Sean Dean. An eliminator match, Samoa Joe, Anthony Bowens versus Jay Lethal and Lee Johnson. Like I said, it's live. You don't want to miss it. I do want to jump into some news.
So there's Darby defends the world title against an ROH tag champion. Willow defends the TBS title against the ROH Women's TV champion. Okay, so more champions going for more belts.
There'll just be lots of belts out there for the show. So I want to go through some news before we get out of here.
Winner of the show gets to swim in a in a vault of belts, like Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah, just don't dive in because they're solid.
Learn the
It
hard way
hurts.
that it's not liquid.
Yeah, it hurts. As Peter Griffin. Okay. So Barry Blaustein passed away. Died this past week. Longtime writer, director. You might remember something he did with wrestling at one time. Wrestling. What was it called again?
Beyond the Mat.
Beyond the Man. I know. He unfortunately died from Parkinson's disease that he was diagnosed with in 2017. And if you've never seen Beyond the Mat, watch it, get it. It's like it kind of breaks kayfabe a little bit because that's really when kayfabe was strong, and you see a lot of it in that. You see a lot of things that for the first time ever that were exposed in the world of wrestling during
Oh
that.
yeah.
It's a
It
great.
was huge back then. I mean, there was no social media back then, and everybody was still kind of like holding on to any little kayfabe left that they could and stuff. And so I remember like the first time I watched this, I was just, whoa. Like nowadays, like with the Unreal and everything else, like it's kind of like it wouldn't have any kind of impact at all. But back then it was such a huge
It was, and I mean, I believe we saw it in the theaters. It was in the theaters. It was some of the important parts of it are like The Rock and Mick Foley, some of the stuff that went on with them. Terry Funk is huge in it. This is, it's definitely one of those ones. It's worth rewatching it if you haven't watched it in a while either. It definitely was a great movie, and it really kind of
Can't forget about Dennis Stamp.
yeah, jumping on the trampoline. I'm not
Got to
booked.
stay ready.
I'm not booked. There's some good stuff in there, and we've lost some of those people since then. But man, that's where we had New Jack talking about being the new Denzel, I believe.
I'm gonna have to watch it again. It was enjoyable.
Yeah, there's the very first ECW pay-per-view is exposed in there too, and it's like you get to backstage of like the build up for the very first pay-per-view, which was huge. It definitely is a great movie and well worth watching. And we're sad that Barry Blaustein passed away. He also was an agent to a lot of wrestlers too, as well. I know he was Mick Foley's agent, and Mick Foley had come out with a long post about him recently. So, that's kind of sad. I'm going to go back and watch it too because I liked it so much, and it really did kind of open a lot of people's eyes about the world of pro wrestling, and also what a sadomasochist Mick Foley is too. So as he's getting beaten with a chair in front of his kids, crying, it's really tough. It's a very memorable moments in that movie. So,
it's in that movie where Noel uses the word nipples, and now like that's been something brought up in like every time she's been on a microphone in recent years and stuff, all these decades later and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I always felt like Wrestling with Shadows didn't get enough love.
Yeah.
Maybe that's partially just because I'm obviously a big fan of family and stuff, but Beyond the Mat, go back and watch that again.
Yeah, actually, Wrestling with Shadows, another great one to watch too. I remember seeing that on A&E, and it was like definitely, the whole screw job seen from a different perspective. So it was definitely, before anybody
to luck out like that. I mean, there's conspiracies and stuff, but like to magically be filming a documentary at the time of what ended up being the biggest incident like ever in wrestling is crazy. Like the fact that they were backstage and stuff for the Montreal Screwjob is just what luck they had, that I'm surprised that never became bigger than it did. But obviously Vince tried to do whatever he could to hold that back and not let people know that it was a thing and stuff.
Yeah, you could see Vince limping out of the locker room after getting knocked out by Bret Hart. It's interesting. It's a shot I've seen a lot of times at a lot of other places. So definitely check that out. So some other news: a former boyfriend of Stephanie McCurr was sentenced to prison this past week. A guy who wrestles as El Curatero was sentenced to 12. Potrero. 12 years and 8 months in prison after a jury found him guilty of attempted femicide and domestic violence against Vakur. I know that this trial's been going on for a couple of years, and kudos. I guess they were the Stephanie Vakur and her her people were very upset that it wasn't longer. So that the guy was put away. But something that she's been going through, I've seen it a couple times in the news, and I've just never
So
really.
it's been a years long thing. Yeah.
Yeah. There's, and so, that's maybe why she's been, gone for a while, because she pretty much has been. I know she also was kind of dealing with an injury too. So, let's see. So, AEW this past week announced that they're going to be in Glasgow at the OVO Hydro on Wednesday, August 26th. So you can get tickets through Live Nation UK. That's obviously, is that when All In their trip over to Europe for
That's the go home for All In.
yeah, so that's pretty cool if you want to see them over in Scotland or Glasgow or Scotland. So I don't know if you saw this from Kevin Nash. And I thought this was interesting. Kevin Nash posted this past week after we had talked last week about TKO asking people to take a 50% cut in pay. Kevin Nash suggested the wrestlers join the SAG-AFTRA union because, I mean, you're on TV. If you're on TV and you're on a SAG, a show that that has to fulfill the SAG-AFTRA, this is a union for actors, and if you're on a show that's covered by that, then the people who are actors have to be paid or have to be in the union to be able to, one, be on TV, and two, to be able to, to be defended and covered. And Kevin Nash was saying that because they're asking wrestlers to take 50% cuts in pay, that if they had a union, they could stop that. It's interesting that Kevin Nash brings this up, and it's like there's been union talk in wrestling before, but now that Vince McMahon doesn't own it because he was a union buster every time, he didn't want to have anything to do with that. It's a little bit different with TKO's in charge of him because this is entertainment television. This is same as you would a sitcom or anything on TV, an hour long CSI show. You have actors, and wrestlers are actors as well. So I thought that was interesting that Kevin Nash suggested, maybe that to fight having their pay cut because TKO, one, the top is heavy in TKO. So the top guys get paid a lot and nobody else does. And that's how it's always worked with the UFC. I thought that was an interesting, he has a post about that, and he has it on his podcast. He talked about it. So, unionizing, it was so out when they tried it with Jesse Ventura back in the early 80s. And you might have heard stories that Hogan was the buster for Vince McMahon on the unions to make sure that didn't happen and stuff. But it's now a different situation now without you having a board of directors running a wrestling company over a single man. I don't know what you guys think about that. You think I mean it might defend, you guys weren't around when I was talking about it last week, but all these guys, instead of, you either take a 50% cut or you get released. And that's why we had such a huge number of people that got released all at one time, 1 week after WrestleMania. It's the business side of wrestling has changed a lot with Vince McMahon no longer being in charge, and I just find it interesting that, that Kevin Nash would suggest something like that because so many wrestlers were so against that for the longest time too, as well. Robbie, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I give credit to Kevin Nash because he's so outspoken on things, even when it's like stuff that isn't the best thing to be brought up for, like his best friend that kind of runs that company. I appreciate that he's still willing to say these things. Yeah, I mean the asking for the pay cuts and all the early cuts and stuff. I mean, it's gross business practices, especially for a company that just does nothing but brag about how much money they're making and charging people like the same amount as a brand new car for it.
Yeah.
It deserves to be called out and stuff. I don't. Unfortunately, I think there's so many things that just aren't ever going to happen, and that's not even exclusive to wrestling, but it's there's always going to be somebody willing to do something for cheaper and stuff, and I don't see a big evil corporation like TKO being like, Oh, okay. Like what? Like I don't know. Like they're gonna do whatever they can to make things best for themselves within their office and everything, and within their bank accounts. And um, there's really no excuse. I mean, the whole independent contractor thing is ridiculous. I mean, especially for maybe the most physical job out there, but like, oh, they're not actual employees and stuff. Like, it's it's a scam. So I don't think anything's going to change, unfortunately. But again, I give credit to Nash for keeping that talking point going or bringing it back up.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense with all the cuts and everything, and people, that's what we heard about, like the New Day. That's they were asked to sign for lesser money, and they said, "No."
Well, no, they had like new contracts, and
Yeah,
like they were asked. I like some of these people were like, it wasn't even that their contract was going to be up. It was just like, oh, like we signed you to an extension a year ago for 5 years, but now we're going to need to take away half that money.
yeah, yeah,
So what's the point of the contract at that point? Uh,
yeah. The,
Corporate America.
yeah, yeah. That's. Do you see any thoughts on that?
No, nothing that Artiste hasn't already said. I mean, I'd love to see it. I'd like to see them do that, but that business, that industry is so individually driven that I don't think you can get everybody on the same page to do something like that. Because you'll
It's
get
just
just as many people holding out potentially as you will trying to step up and replace those people. So
The Rob, you did bring up a good point about the independent contractors thing, because that was always done as a tax write-off for the company, so they didn't have to pay, you know, income tax, state income tax, and all these, and all these taxes that you are charged when you have employees. When they're independent contractors, you pay, like the contractor pays for their own health insurance, and if they do it all, and they have to pay, everything comes out of their pocket, including having to track different state income taxes depending on where you are. I mean, I would never, being a wrestler's got to be tough, because if you perform in different states, you get charged different tax rates on what you made for, performing in different states. It really is, you need to have a bookkeeper with you at all times, because baseball is the same way. When they go up and play in Canada, it's different tax rate. And so they have to state how much money they made playing 4 games in a weekend or whatever, but you take their contract, divide it by games, and then figure out what you get taxed for playing in Canada. It's really is a complicated thing. It's so much better if they actually paid for their health insurance and did all that stuff for them. So, and that's probably what a unionizing would help with. So, because a lot of guys don't have health insurance, and that's why Tony Khan is giving people $5,000 for surgeries and things like that, because it's probably impossible to get health insurance as being a pro wrestler, because it's such a physical job. It's like probably the rates are probably outrageous. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it's I think it's interesting. It brings up an interesting point. When I heard Kevin Nash address it. So
it sucks to see this kind of stuff because like and again, it's not new and it's not going to change, but you think of like all these people that like their dream job was to wrestle for WWE and they get there, and then there's people who are there for decades and become like arguably the most successful tag team in the history of WWE and stuff. And then it's like, oh yeah, we don't have like loyalty or anything. You're under contract or whatever, but like, how about you give how about like half that money goes away? And so like the amount of people who work so hard, do a great job, do everything they can, become a star to millions of people, again, become like the most successful tag team in the history of the company, and then disposable. Like, and that like how many of these people like make it and make so much money for the company and do everything ever asked of them, and then they get a bad ending to
yeah,
their time there. Like
eh, way
it's
too often.
constant.
Yeah, it happens all the
And
time.
it's disgusting. Like there should be reward for the things that, like Kofi Kingston specifically, like 2 decades there, everything's done, every media appearance, every community appearance, like world title, tag titles, all this stuff, like big segment, and then just like, oh yeah, all right, like we're never gonna see you like again, like like we can't pay you what we told you we were gonna pay you, and we signed a contract to pay you. It makes me sick seeing that kind of stuff. And again, that is certainly not just in professional wrestling, but that stuff's got to stop. And instead, it's just becoming more common.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. All the people that all the coworkers of them that posted social media stuff and had to be so unspecific about it because they get in trouble if they, showed how angry they were about it. But I'm hearing that maybe the New Day might have a place at AEW when their non-compete runs out. So
I would be
Every
shocked
single
if they
person there
didn't
wants
end up there.
yeah, everybody, there's been there definitely is an interest there. So
And they would be, I mean, they would be available in time for
And
the Bucks and the New Day at All In. I mean, that's a semi-main event right there.
that's
It
perfect.
could easily be a main event of any other show. So it if it doesn't happen, it would be a huge disappointment and a shock.
Yeah, I'm guessing it will, and that, and maybe that's what they knew when they said, "No, I don't want to take a 50% cut." It's like, well, someone else will bring a spin, and that's the thing. It's like I was talking about when it all came down a couple weeks ago, that AEW, it's just another thing that makes them look better, when for the wrestlers, because Tony Khan's loaded, but it's like, and they, but
I feel like the news cycle over the past couple of weeks, it's TKO, WWE asking people to take 50% pay cuts, and then hearing about Tony Khan covering surgeries and healthcare for several different talents. So
yeah.
it was
A
a
lot of
real
people are well aware of the grass being greener from
yeah.
a lot of different perspectives. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's very loyal people in WWE, but things like that, man, question your loyalty, because they certainly will turn their back on you very quickly. I mean, it's the truth. I mean, that's, 26, 28 people released in one day,
I mean, unless you're a top guy, it has to be very hard working there, I would assume.
yeah. And at one time
I
those
even think
were
I
top
think if you're a
guys.
top guy, it might even be worse at times too. I mean, like I don't think that there's any chance that, of decades of being there, that this was the only time that, like Kofi and Austin Creed had a negative experience. They just put up with it for so long. And obviously had a lot of great highlights and positive things and stuff. But you hear your friends working across town, what they're getting and stuff, and the opportunity to still be on a major platform but have all of these new fresh matchups and everything else. Like, why would you not?
Yeah. I agree. And yeah, I mean, the New Day was created by a bad situation, really, if you think about it. They said, "This is what we want to do with you." And they're like, "We want you to, sing and dance." And it was like, oh, and they turned it in, lemon into lemonade, And so it was like,
It's just in this type of situation, when you've got these things going on where there's no security for these wrestlers, even though they're under contract. They can be cut at any time. They can uproot their family and move to Florida, and then think they're going to be with the company for years, and 6 months later, without getting a TV match, they're cut. And they had quit their full-time job, their wife had quit their full-time job, all that kind of stuff. Like, there's so many examples of all that stuff that, at the very least, if the corporation is going to have the ability to pull this kind of crap, and go back on their word on everything, the wrestlers should have the same capabilities. How many times do we have like wrestlers ask for their release, didn't get it, or things like that? Like, they have no control to do anything like that. But at the same time, like they could ask for the release, be told no, and then the next day, like, oh, but we want to release you, actually, whatever. Like we can do this because like we're in charge, whatever. No, like these are the people that are
yeah,
people are tuning into WWE to see people like the New Day. They're not tuning in because they want to support Ari Emanuel and Paul
yeah,
Levesque and Nick Khan and all these people. Like, that's not what's drawing the ticket sales.
without a doubt. Yeah. So that interesting discussion there. So one last thing before we get out, a Piper Niven update revealed Wednesday she officially been discharged from the hospital for undergoing major neck surgery. She had a anterior discectomy procedure, which she posted some pictures from a hotel room while she was recovering with a neck brace on and stuff. And it may end her career, but she was just updating people because people have been asking how she's doing. We already talked. Well, next Saturday we have WWE Saturday Night Main Event. We got a AEW pay-per-view coming up next weekend. And why don't we get out of here? Anything else going on with you guys? No. It's go Sabres tonight. Come on, everybody, send your vibes to the Sabres and so that they up in Montreal so that they win. And we get to a 7th game in Buffalo. When would it be? 2 days from today? Monday night?
It would be Monday. Yeah.
So
I love that last night I had a Facebook ad pop up from ESPN that said, tune in for game 6 in prime time on ABC Monday at 12 a.m. Eastern. Okay, worldwide leader in sports. None of that makes sense, but
someone should check
good stuff
when they send those emails out. So thank you guys.
Best case scenario for me tonight is the Sabres win. Worst case, I'm going to get some Buffalo style pizza and wings.
I need some wings. I've been thinking about them for a while. I haven't had any in a while.
I look forward to tuning into the Sportsnet broadcast, and not the ABC one. But I hope the game gets good ratings. Saturday night, 8:00 on ABC. I mean, that's a big deal. It doesn't happen too often. But I will go with the Canadian commentary, as I have for a lot of these playoffs.
Yeah, well, yes. Okay, so we're gonna get out of here, guys. Thank you for checking this out. If you're free earlier, 4:00, I'm calling Derby at the Minette Hall down at the Dome. I've got 4 and 6 o'clock games. Hopefully, I'll get out in time to catch some of the game. Hopefully, and
it's not even going to face off till probably 8:20 or something.
So I might be the after party when the game starts, but that's a good deal but also if you're not into hockey. Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano are fighting tonight in the main event on Netflix. It's a Netflix deal. So if you get Raw on Netflix, you can watch the fight tonight on Netflix. That may fall into my wheelhouse tonight too, as well, because that may happen after the Sabres game. I mean, at least the good part of the card. I don't need to see the undercard. I don't even know half the people who are on it. So it's like we just support Ronda one more time, and she badmouths WWE in all the interviews this past week. So thank you.
I hope they both lose.
Yeah, maybe they both do. Yeah, maybe they could.
And then Jake Paul runs in and he loses too.
Jake Paul can't even be on. It's funny, they can't even mention his name on WWE or because of his bad dealings with TKO with UFC. Because they were all bidding for like different fights and stuff like that, and he's so out. In fact, it's funny, we haven't seen it, I mean, Logan's on, but not nearly as prominent in the last few weeks because I think they're trying to keep a low cap on the last name Paul there for a while. But thank you guys for checking us out. We'll be back next week. We'll see you next week. Have a great week. Body slam somebody you love.